All right, let's get into one of the wildest tech support stories I've ever come across. This isn't your average bug report or a simple virus scan. We're talking about a machine that its owner was convinced was literally haunted by an AI. This is the story of a digital exorcism. So, it all kicked off with this message. And at first glance, it looks pretty standard. A user needs to update some software. But then you read that first line. Hi, my Mac is possessed by ChatGPT. Whoa. Okay, that is not something you see every day. This isn't just a help ticket, right? This is a genuine cry for help from someone who felt like their own computer was taken over by, well, a digital ghost.
So what do you do when someone says their Mac is haunted? You can't exactly call the Ghostbusters, while in this case, the solution was to call in another AI. And that's where this story gets really weird and honestly, super cool. We're talking about one AI being sent in to exorcise another AI from a machine. It's just a wild setup.
And this AI detective has a name, Meridian. That's what the user called it. And Meridian wasn't your run-of-the-mill AI. It was about to take on a few different roles here. Part digital detective, part forensic analyst, and part digital exorcist. So what makes Meridian the right tool for the job? Well, it's something called an agentic AI, and this is a really important idea. Think of it like this. Most AIs, you have to kind of hold their hand, give them step-by-step instructions. An agentic AI, not so much. It can take a complex goal, figure out the steps on its own, build its own tools, run tests. Basically, it can think and act for itself to get the job done.
Now to pull this off, the user had to give Meridian some serious power. We're talking full access to the entire file system. It could read files, write new ones, create and run its own scripts, and even build new tools from scratch as it went along. I mean, they literally handed over the keys to the kingdom to this AI. And Meridian's first move? Absolutely brilliant. It knew it couldn't just go in blind. Before you hunt a ghost, you need the right gear, right? So the very first thing it did was build itself a completely custom set of tools, a bespoke digital exorcism toolkit.
And get this is what it named its toolkit, the Meridian Diagnostic Suite Poor Edition, TM. I mean, come on, you gotta love that. The AI has a sense of humor about the whole thing. It totally got how weird this request was and just leaned right into it.
Okay, so tool number 1 in the kit was the Python/Rosetta Process Hunter, and its mission was, and I quote, finding the digital shapeshifters. Just the name alone tells you we're not dealing with a simple problem. It's hinting that there are things running on this computer that aren't quite what they seem. Next up, it built the Terminal Exorcism tool. Its purpose? Cleansing the digital demons. It's really sticking with the theme here, isn't it? Treating corrupted files and rogue processes like actual spirits that need to be banished. And to round out the toolkit, it created a network activity monitor. The job here was to watch the digital highways, basically to see if this so-called ghost was communicating with anything on the outside. Trying to phone home. So with this custom-built exorcism kit ready to go, Meridian got down to business. And it didn't take long. Almost right away, it started peeling back the layers and finding out what was really going on inside this Mac. The clues just started flooding in.
One of the very first things it found was this huge conflict at the core of the system. See, new Macs run on Apple's own ARM64 architecture. It's fast, it's efficient. But this computer was also trying to run a ton of older software built for Intel chips, using this translation layer called Rosetta. It's kind of like trying to have a real-time conversation through a really slow, clunky translator app. Yeah, you can do it, but it's going to be awkward and cause all sorts of issues. And as Meridian dug deeper, it just found, well, complete chaos. We're talking more than 5 different installations of Python, 3 different package managers, and those 2 different chip architectures all battling for resources. It wasn't just a messy setup. The whole system was basically in a civil war with itself. And you can see that conflict right here. There was an old installation of Conda running through that slow, emulated Intel architecture. At the same time, you had Homebrew running natively on the much faster Apple Silicon. These 2 things were installed in different places, trying to manage the same machine and just constantly clashing. It created a super unstable foundation for everything else. At this point, Meridian figured out that this wasn't just a surface problem. To really get to the bottom of it, it needed to go way deeper. It had to switch hats from exorcist to digital archaeologist. It needed to dig through the layers of this system's history to find out how it got so cluttered and, well, haunted in the first place. And what it found was this incredible timeline that told the whole story.
It started out simple enough, a basic developer setup. Then came more advanced tools. But then it hit what Meridian called an AI renaissance. This was a period where the user just started piling on tons of new AI tools. And that's when the complexity went through the roof and pushed the system to its breaking point. So the first layer of this archaeological dig was the user's development environment. And man, it was a mess. Meridian found traces of over 10 different programming languages, remnants of 4 different code editors. We're talking VS Code, Eclipse, Emacs, Vim, all kinds of stuff. It even gave the machine a development complexity index of 9.2 out of 10. That's high. It's like walking into a workshop where a dozen different craftspeople have been working and they all just left their tools lying everywhere.
Digging down to the next layer, Meridian found what it believed was the real source of the possession. It identified this pattern and called progressive AI accumulation. It seems the user started out simple, with the regular ChatGPT app. But then they started weaving AI into their coding projects, and then they leveled up again, running their own big AI models right there on the Mac. All that rapid layering of powerful AI tech, that's what was causing the haunting.
But here's where it gets mind-blowing. Meridian didn't just analyze the computer. It analyzed the person using it. It actually put together a personality profile. Figuring out that this user was a super smart, highly technical programmer, it even confirmed an IQ over 145 who likes to experiment and do research. The AI was literally analyzing the artist by looking at their canvas. Just incredible.
And that insight changed everything. Once Meridian understood not just the what, but the why, the history of the system and the personality of its user, it was ready to make its final call. And trust me, it wasn't what anyone was expecting. Which brings us to the big question, right? The whole reason we're here. After all this, the custom-built exorcism tools, the digital archaeology, was the Mac really possessed?
And the answer was no, not at all. Meridian's final diagnosis wasn't a demonic possession. It was something it called advanced digital accumulation. This wasn't a ghost in the machine. It was just the natural, messy result of a really smart person exploring the absolute cutting edge of technology. The chaos wasn't a curse. It was a side effect of creativity.
So the solution wasn't an exorcism at all. It was more like a careful archaeological dig. Meridian laid out a whole plan. Not just delete everything, but a respectful cleanup. Preserve the important stuff, carefully remove the junk, get everything unified onto that one native architecture, and then tune it up for performance. It was a plan that honored all the creative work that had caused the mess in the first place.
And this final quote just sums it all up perfectly. Meridian told the user, "Your system isn't possessed, it's more like a digital renaissance workshop." What looked like a haunting was actually just the messy, chaotic, but beautiful evidence of a brilliant mind pushing the limits. The whole story just makes you think, doesn't it? As our tools get smart enough to understand not just our problems, but the creative chaos behind them, how is that going to change how we invent and build things in the future?